In order to finish the wood shop, I need to raise a concrete stem, is what it's called, out of the ground. I need to pour a footing first, then a stem, and get it up out of the ground where the water that comes around the side of the shop doesn't end up inside the wood shop. So it's dried out enough now that I think I can do this. I've got a window of time where, as long as I don't damage anything, that's the big factor. I've got two pieces of conduit holding the wire from the generator going from the shop to the house. Right next to it, I've got a stop and waste in there that I've got to figure out. The bottom line is I just got to be really, really careful about how I do this. And then the plan is to run water line around the edge of the shop and relocate that yard hydrant out closer to the front yard where it's much more usable. So I hope it goes that smoothly, but things around here usually don't. But today's the day, so I got to get this figured out. I installed this yard hydrant and the stop and waste, which controls the water flow to the shop, right before we poured the concrete, probably close to 3 years ago. And after using the yard hydrant for the last few years, I can tell you this was not the right location to put it, simply because the water doesn't have a place to go. If I'm going to turn this into a wood shop, I have to move the stop and waste and the hydrant away from the concrete wall. So those of you guys that have been following for a while, you know that I like to use 5-gallon bucket full of rocks around the base of my yard hydrants to give the water a place to go, but also to give a little bit of stability to the yard hydrants. And I just hit the top of the bucket. And I'm trying to be so careful as I dig through here because if I hit the conduit, things can go bad. But so I've got down to the top of the footing for the back of the shop wall, which means I just need to go down probably another 18 inches, but I'm getting close enough to the water lines and the conduit. I just got to be so careful. So one wrong move is going to turn this 4-hour project into a 2-day project. So
right now in 2025, we think that Upside is the most valuable app that you can have on your phone.
No other app gives you the power to earn more like Upside does.
Whether you're filling up your tank, going out to eat, or buying groceries, the Upside app gives you opportunities to earn cash back on every purchase.
On necessary purchases you would have had to make anyways. There are no confusing rewards, points, or credits, just actual money you can transfer straight to your bank account. There are over 1,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app.
There's gas stations like Shell and Chevron and Mobil and Exxon and many more. And then there's restaurants like Papa John's, Taco Bell, Arby's, Wendy's, and many more of those too. It is super simple to use the app.
Claim the offer for whatever you are buying on Upside. Pay as usual with a credit or debit card. Follow the steps in the app and get paid. Upside users are making as much as $280 per year.
To find out how much you can earn, click the link in the description and download Upside.
And use code Red Poppy Ranch for an extra 25 cents back for every gallon in your first tank of gas.
Or scan the QR code here to claim this offer.
Thank you, Upside. Many years ago, I had a backhoe operator try to tell me that he could fill water and sewer lines with his bucket before doing any damage. I'm here to tell you that I've got a few hundred hours on a few different pieces of equipment, and I've never been able to fill the water or the sewer line with the excavator before I, frankly, tore them out. So almost every water line I've ever had to dig up and find again here on the property, I have found with the excavator bucket by damaging the water line. But because it's plastic,
it's not the end of the world to fix it. But when it comes to electrical, if I hit the conduit, I not only damage the conduit, but I damage the wire inside as well, and that's why that's so bad.
The goal for today is to get the stop and waste moved further out away from the concrete. It needs to probably be 2 feet out away from where this new stem and footing are going to be. I have those 2.5-inch pieces of conduit feeding the backup generator. And if I hit that conduit, I'm in a bad spot. I can't, this is always the gamble with this stuff, is using heavy equipment to try and expose the pipes. I just have to hope that I don't find it with the bucket, as they say. I think step one is I'm going to very carefully pull some of this dirt back with the excavator and then start trying to figure out how I'm going to route this new yard hydrant.
I've said it before, but for me around here at Red Poppy Ranch, the excavator is the ultimate tool that helps me do all of these different jobs that I otherwise would have to struggle through. We went through a bunch of different pieces of equipment before we finally settled on the excavator that we currently have, but because I have this piece of equipment readily available, I have the option to make changes where I feel like I need to make changes. I'm trying to find these 2 pieces of conduit with the shovel before I find them with the excavator bucket. And as I said earlier, if I hit them with the excavator bucket, the consequence could be bad.
Found the conduit without doing any damage, thank heavens. So now I just need to get the trench down a little bit deeper, and then I'm going to go under that conduit and I've already dug the trench far enough with the excavator. I'm just going to keep digging it. But I'm down plenty deep, so now I just need to get the trench cleaned out. I need to dig a little bit of a hole around the yard hydrant right here to give the water a place to go when I cut the water line. But we're there. Thank heavens. You know, it's taken me years and years and years to slow down and be patient. And this is the one time that it worked out in my favor by simply digging for it with the shovel and avoiding ripping it out of the ground with the excavator. So this is good.
When I was in my 20s, I was the journeyman on the job site when a high-pressure gas main was cut by an apprentice, which led to a neighborhood evacuation and ultimately an OSHA training class that I would have to go to. And the bottom line is when heavy equipment gets used, things underground get hit. But thank goodness in my career I've never had anything too bad happen. Knock on wood.
It was going to be there.
I just hit the main sewer line for our house with the excavator.
I found the second pipe I was hoping to avoid, but it's no big deal. It's just the sewer line, although now I have to run to town and get a couple of 4-inch couplings and probably a band clamp or two. But now that I know where the sewer line is, it'll be easy to get the water line ran. So I got to run to town real quick and I'll come right back and hopefully get this patched up and get the yard hydrant installed and be done with this so I can start setting the forms for the stem and the footing.
Well, this is the second time that I've actually hit this part of the sewer on our house, and I've decided to add a clean out right here so I know exactly where the sewer line is in the future.
All right, now that we've got the sewer debacle taken care of, I just want to very carefully cut a little trench over to the already dug trench that I have, and then I can run my water line. I can get the water line disconnected over there at the stop and waste before Cedar and the kids get back home. So.
Go for a rebound, Miguel. Rebound.
Well, at the moment, Reed is playing in a 2-day basketball tournament a couple of hours from home, so I have a little bit more time to get things finished up than I did yesterday. Well, it's not the end of the world, even though I did hit the sewer main, but the good news is I now have a new cleanout, and we now have a trench established for the new water line. I need to carefully clean out the trench so the new water line will lay flat.
I need to run up and shut off the water tank valves up there so I can stop the waters from draining there. And then we're going to cut this out as fast as we can and get everything moved and water turned back on.
Every time I open this door for the first time of the year, I wait for a crazy rabid raccoon to jump out and get me. But it never happens.
All right, water has stopped, so there's still going to be a little bit of residual water coming out of the water line. Hi, Willie. As I cut it, but hopefully not too much.
All that I can say is if this is the last place I'm ever going to live, things like this are probably going to happen because I'm going to make changes around here from time to time. But because of the clay content we have in the soil, it has taken years to get everything packed down right here around the shop. So I'm going to have to probably work this area over a couple of times over summer. I've talked about this in the past, but I use regular copper crimp rings on the blue poly pipe that I put underground. The only thing that I do when I'm finished is I wrap it with electrical tape.
I think we're ready to turn the water back on. I'm going to hook the hose up to the yard hydrant, open it up, run up and turn the tanks on, and then we'll check for leaks. All right, water back on. There we go. All right, water's back on. I need to wrap the fittings with electrical tape, and then this is ready to be backfilled, but I think I'm going to wait till the morning just because it's late enough in the day that I'd love to let this sit overnight and just inspect it one more time in the morning before I start backfilling. But hard part's done. Now in this spot right here, once I get this carefully backfilled, I'm going to start building the forms for the stem, for the footing and the stem. So I did all that work so I can now pour this footing and stem. Come on, Winnie, let's go. Come on. Come on, dogs. There is so much work up here. People don't understand just how much work it takes to clean up this brush. And I'm now kind of up against it with the time frame. I have about 6 weeks before the county is going to tell me I can't burn anymore up here. And I'm really trying to get this all taken care of before I'm worried it's going to be a dry year. So I'm going to have to get this burning, whatever burning I plan on doing this year, I'm going to have to get it done sooner than later. And the only way I see getting this done in a timely manner is to use the excavator, as much as I didn't want to. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to pull the stumps out of the ground like I have done previously with the excavator. I'm going to cut them off at the ground, but I'm going to use the excavator to clean up the brush because I just don't see a possible way for me to get this done in the time frame that I have to work with. So it needs a few more days to dry out. It's still a little bit soft, but first part of next week, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to get up here with the excavator and start making brush piles to burn. I have to separate the firewood in the middle of all that. So, but I know the end result will be great, not just for me, but for the deer too. And that's kind of the motivation behind all this. So sometimes I get myself into stuff that it's hard to see an exit strategy, but I just have to get in here and do this. There's no two ways about it. Right, Rube? Okay, I left everything exposed all night and there's no leaks. Everything looks great. I just need to get the yard hydrant supported. I'm going to backfill and I'm going to shade the sewer line a little bit before I start using the excavator to backfill everything. And then we're ready to backfill over to where the new stem and footing forms are going to be. So.
I suppose the average guy probably isn't going to move around yard hydrants the way that I do, but this stuff doesn't scare me. I'm more interested in having things exactly the way that I want them instead of stretching hoses all over our property just to get water to where it's supposed to be. There are currently 3 more hydrants that I want to add to our water system. Around the new yard hydrant and the new cleanout, I'm going to carefully water settle over the next few days, but everything else I can use the weight of the excavator to backfill and drive over. But as I said, because there's so much clay in this soil, it's going to take me a while to get this pushed back down to where it's supposed to be. At some point later, I'm going to regrade it and get a load of gravel delivered. From the moment I first installed that yard hydrant and that stop and waste valve, I knew it wasn't in the right location. Everything around here comes down to where can the water go when the snow melts. And at the end of the day, that hydrant had to be moved to prevent the water from getting into the wood shop. So now that I've done all of that work, I can now do even more work to get the stem and the footing poured, which will prevent the water from getting in the shop. So on next week's video, you're going to get to see me build the forms, pour the footing and the stem, and take the next step on the wood shop. Thank you guys for taking time to stop by and see how we're doing here at Red Poppy Ranch, and we will see you again soon.
All right, so I am out of rebar, but it's time to go pick up a pallet of concrete and a couple more form boards. And on the next upcoming video, you're going to get to see me figure out this stem and footing. But so far, so good. Everything is as it should be. I've got the stop and waste moved away from the wall now. The yard hydrant, everything's good. Now I get to mix a whole bunch of concrete, probably north of 60 bags of concrete to get the stem up high enough where I want it anyway. So anyway, so far so good. I'm a little banged up. It's been a hard couple of days, but we got her squared away. And again, next week's video, we should have the conclusion of this stem, hopefully. See you guys soon.